Hey Booktube, this is Kelly. Thank you so much for watching my channel, Books I'm Not Reading. Happy Friday. I'm here with my cup of tea that says, it's good to be home. Which is very true. I do like being at home a lot. I am still wearing my wristband for tennis elbow, and I've ordered some home physical therapy tools because a few of you really scared me. But maybe I had put off taking care of the tennis elbow for too long. So I'm hoping that I can make it better at home rather than having to go to physical therapy. Not that I don't really believe in physical therapy, but it's just a difficult thing to do in the middle of a work week. Thank you guys for all your kind words about my tennis elbow and making me realize that I needed to take this much more seriously than I had been. And I also want to let you know, and this is gonna sound really strange, I'm gonna keep making Friday Reads videos this month, but I might not be talking about what I'm reading because the rest of this month I'm gonna be reading stuff for videos that I'm going to make in September. I am one of the hosts of Shaketember, which is our month-long celebration on Booktube of Shakespeare, and I'm so excited about it, but I really do have to devote more time to get ready for those videos, and so like I said, we'll still have Friday Reads, but I just want you to know we're gonna have to do something a little different, a little unusual. Maybe I'll do a tag. Actually, I have a couple ideas of some things that we can do for the rest of August. But the one book I knew I was gonna read in August since last year is Lolly Willowes by Sylvia Townsend Warner. I read this with Will Chambers. I will link to Will's channel down below. Be sure to check out his channel. I have no idea if he's going to talk about this book on his channel or not, but anyway, we had a good time reading this together and chatting about it. So I'm going to go into Lolly Willowes now, and I confess I am going to spoil everything. So if you are really wanting to read Lolly Willowes and you hate spoilers, I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Remember to be kind to yourself, be kind to others. But I'm gonna go into the book now, and like I said, I'm pretty much gonna ruin it all. So I've talked a lot about this cover. This is the New York Review of Books edition of Lolly Willowes, and how much I like this cover. I feel like the cover is a bit crazy. It's a bit wild. The book is not, though. The book is not, which, and obviously we don't judge books by their covers, right? So doesn't have to do with my star rating of the book. Lolly Willowes was published in 1926. It was an instant bestseller, I think internationally maybe even, and it is about a woman who her father dies and she's not married. I don't really even know if she's had any kind of romantic relationships. To leave the country and live with her brother and his family, and I think she's a live-in babysitter kind of, and she's just always so necessary for things that she doesn't get to do a lot on her own in London, and then she decides to move to this country town called Great Mop, and it is during her stay at Great Mop, well, a couple things happen in Great Mop. Like she still can't quite escape her family ties, her family connections. Her nephew moves to Great Mop, much to her distress, and it makes her feel like kind of her whole family is still there, is still telling her what to do, is still kind of crowding her. And then she yeah, like has this epiphany that she's a witch and that she's made a pact with Satan. I think the book would have been more interesting if we got to see her as a witch a little bit more. Now, the only thing I knew about this book was that there was some kind of witch theme in it before I read it, and Jason's been really pushing my buttons as far as well, what is a witch? And you know, oh, does she have to have a pointy hat? Does she have to have a cauldron boiling? You know, what is your definition of that? And even though he hasn't read Lolly Willowes, he knows enough about it. I did really feel like it was a great feminist book, or even just a great book that says to women, like, you don't have to follow this certain path. You can make your own path in life. You can love who you want to love, and be who you want to be, and you don't have to you know, babysit your nieces and nephews for the rest of your life and be Aunt Lolly. Her real name is Laura, and I don't think she wants to be Aunt Lolly. So I loved that part of it. I think the reason why this book was an international bestseller is because it was published after World War I, and there were so many women in England who, and around the world, who, yeah, they were widows. They had never had the chance to get married, and you know, so many men were killed, and so that traditional, you know, getting married and having a family of your own and that sort of thing, like it just wasn't really possible. And it didn't happen for Sylvia Townsend Warner either, although I think, and again, I don't know what point in her life she realized that she was a lesbian, but I think she did live with a woman for a while. I don't know like how public that was during her lifetime or not, but yeah, and there are some kind of undercurrents of that in the book as well. But yeah, so I think that's why Lolly Willowes just struck such a chord. Now, when I got this book and first shared it on my channel, I had so many interesting comments, like, and of course in a comment you can't always tell like the tone of someone, like what they're like implying, like, oh, I'm very curious as to what you think about this, Kelly, or oh, I can't wait to hear your thoughts about Lolly Willowes. Like, that could be, I can't wait, or oh, I can't wait to hear what you think of this book. And the truth is, like, I wasn't really, I think I was more shocked by the fact that she's just so matter of fact, that she's a witch, and she considers as being a witch that she has made a pact with Satan. Now, if this book was published today, it would be turned into a series with, you know, a whole bunch of other books about Lolly Willowes, you know, as a witch and what she does and that sort of thing. I like the fact that it kind of stands alone. But I kind of wanted her to be a witch earlier. I realized Sylvia Townsend Warner was trying to lead up to, this is the kind of life that this woman has led, because this is what was expected at that time, and you know, this woman manages to break away from it. And so I found that I just, like I said, maybe it should have been a little bit longer. It's a pretty short book. It's a pretty slim little novel. But I just thought the fact that she was a witch, and again, what does that mean? Like, does that mean she has to become a healer? Does that mean she has to be, you know, and even Laura Willowes says in the book that, you know, it isn't about harming people or hurting people. Like, it's not it's not that kind of black and white. I think we tend to think of witches in a negative connotation, with the exception, of course, of, well, maybe not the author J.K. Rowling, but definitely, you know, Harry Potter has those books and films have really changed our notion about witches and wizards. I liked it. I feel like it's really well written. There's hardly any dialogue. Laura gives a big speech at the end of the book, but I think the writing is really good. And again, I get it. I'm sorry, laundry. I get that the first half of the first two parts in the book are really more about like what was expected of her, and then the second half of the book is about her trying to break away from that. And I would have liked to see more character development from her. And she does she does get a cat, and the cat just shows up in a locked room. So he or she must have slipped through the keyhole, and Laura instantly identifies the cat as her familial. Anyway, so it's, you know, it is a good book. I think it's worth reading. I'm probably gonna give it 4 stars, even though it's really more like 3.5. I liked it. I just didn't love it. Like, this kind of madness on the cover, that's sort of what I was looking for more of. That's okay though. And again, we don't judge books by their covers, right? It was great to read it with Will and to hear his thoughts and, you know, the things he picked up on that I didn't. I would also love an edition of this book with like maybe more notes. That would have, you know, I think there were things in here that that kind of went over my head a little bit, like just terms that I wasn't as familiar with, but yeah. So anyway, for those of you who've been waiting for me to read this book, I finally did. Alison Lurie, who won the Pulitzer Prize for fiction, wrote the introduction to my edition, and I just wanted to share this great sentence or thought that she had at the end. 3 years later, it might be 3 years after the publication of Lolly Willowes, 3 years later, Virginia Woolf was to make much of the same point, saying that if a woman is to be more than a convenient household appliance, if she's to have a life of her own, and especially if she wants to be a writer, she must have freedom and privacy and, quote, a room of one's own. She spoke, we now know, for thousands of women then and in years to come, but Sylvia Townsend Warner had spoken for them first. I loved that. Kind of like, hey, Virginia Woolf, like, you weren't the first person to have this thought. Sylvia Townsend Warner beat you to it. So anyway, if you've read this book, I'd love to hear what you think down in the comments section. If this is something you want to read, I'd love to hear about that as well. Or if you just want to share with me what you're reading right now. Maybe you're reading something for Garbagist, or another August event, if you have any special plans for the weekend. So please say hello down below in the comment section. If you don't feel comfortable leaving a comment, you can always leave an emoji or give this video a thumbs up, which does help my channel, and I really do appreciate it. Booktube, I will be back soon with another video. In the meantime, please remember to be kind to yourself, be kind to others, and I'll talk to you soon.